Welcome to the Certified Badass Online Marketing Podcast, where being a badass has less to do with what you wear and what music you listen to, and everything to do with whether you've got the thriving online business of your dreams. I'm your renegade thinking Harvard Law grad turned online entrepreneur host, Bobby Clant. In my years building my thriving business, the most important lesson I've learned is that being a badass online marketer isn't about secret strategies or ninja tactics. It's about doing the basic stuff right and showing the F up. So each week here on the show, you'll get clear, easy to execute guidance on how to build your online business and a swift kick in the ass or two to make sure you're getting it done. Hey there, welcome to this Friday live edition of the Certified Badass Online Marketing Podcast. I'm your host, Bobby Clink, and I'm excited for today's show because I'm going to cause a little bit of trouble. And I think we all know that causing trouble is one of my favorite things to do. And, why not do it a little bit more, and have a little bit of fun. Specifically, I'm going to be talking about something that I've kind of noticed about. It's a common problem and a common concern that I have, or I hear from other entrepreneurs. Specifically, I will hear entrepreneurs talking about how they struggle to find an accountant that understands their business. And you might be listening and say, what in the world is Bobby going to talk about this for? Isn't this just like a struggle we all have to come to? And I'm going to talk about how maybe the fact that we can't find accountants, professionals who understand our business is a sign that we should look at how we're building our business. So that's what we're actually talking about today. Now, before I get to it, I'm going to say yet again, this episode is brought to you by my 3-day virtual event coming up the first weekend in December, Badass Online Marketing Live. At that event, I'm going to be helping entrepreneurs figure out how to build a real business that will last. Not a product, not a flash in the pan, but an actual business. Because that's, I think, what we ought to all be doing. So that's what we're going to be talking about. You can find out all the details by heading to bobbyclink.com/bomblive, bobbyclink.com/bomblive. Now, with that, I want to talk about this whole issue that we have trouble as online entrepreneurs, or a lot of us have trouble finding an accountant who understands our business. I've heard this so frequently because accountants are used to more traditional businesses that are bringing in revenue every month and are making sales every month. You're kind of looking at cash flow. You're doing all of these things. And so you're just kind of looking at all that, and an accountant can understand that. An accountant can look back and can give you ideas of how you should be budgeting and all of those things because they're like, okay, here's something I can see. I can look at the numbers. I can look at trends. I can look and see, hey, is there seasonality or if there's not seasonality, hopefully your revenue's growing and all of those things. So they can kind of look at it because that's how businesses normally look. Now, I've had so many entrepreneurs I hear talk to say they need to find an accountant that really understands their business because they go to one of these accountants who does work for small businesses, and the accountants look at them and are just so confused. And what I get from it is that the entrepreneurs are saying, what's wrong with these accountants? Why can't they understand our business? And it's kind of a challenge that we think we need to go and find. I'm going to pose it as a slightly different way. I'm going to ask that instead we look at the evidence and we say, what should we as entrepreneurs take from the fact that accountants, people who look at numbers for businesses day in and day out, can't understand our business model? And they can't understand it because they see we're making no money, no money, no money, a lot of money. No money, no money, no money, a lot of money. No money, no money, no money, a lot of money. And they look at that and they say, what in the world is this? And they can't wrap their heads around it. They can't say this. So, a traditional accountant is looking and saying, hey, you should be spending less than you're making month in and month out. That's kind of how you should generally be doing it. And on a quarterly basis and on a yearly basis and all of these things is how they're looking at it. And so they look at our business models. They look at, like, if you gave them your cash flow, your P&L and all that, they would just be so confused because although the revenue for a lot of online business is very little, and then a lot, the actual P&L is lose money, lose money, lose money, lose money, make money, lose money, lose money, lose money, lose money, make money. And they look at that and they're like, whoa, we've got to do something about these months where you're losing money. And so I look at that and I say, maybe, just maybe, that's a sign that we should be asking ourselves whether there's something wrong with our model. Now, I'm not saying it necessarily is. I mean, if you listen to me, you probably know that I say that I don't think the launch model is the best way to go. There's a lot of reasons for it. And what I can tell you, separate from trying to find your accountants, I've had this discussion with a lot of my friends because I have friends who are CPAs who've done like business valuation and all of those things. And what I'll tell you is when they're looking at a business and they see that the revenue events are limited periods of time, even if it's not the entire revenue events, but large chunks of revenue come during very limited periods, they put what's called a discount on the valuation. And what a discount is they're saying, yeah, I'm not gonna actually give you the full valuation of your business based on kind of the revenue for a year. And the reason they do that is because they're seeing these limited periods of time that you're making money as a huge risk that you've injected into your business. And I could talk about this in a lot of ways, but if you think about it, it could be that you have a problem by having this because like something cataclysmic comes in the world when you're supposed to make that money. But it doesn't even have to be that. I mean, it doesn't have to be that like there's a 9/11 or, a George Floyd event or something like that right in the middle of a launch. It could be something different. It could be a tech outage. Like what if all of a sudden, when you have this plan to make a lot of money that you need to get yourself back in the black and out of the red because you've been losing money all this time, you have something where, I don't know, Zoom is out or there's big tech outages. And I've had things like that happen where like I'm inviting people to a webinar and like that's the day that Kartra decides it's having a tech issue. And luckily it's only ever been a day for me. But imagine that. That's risk. But it doesn't even have to be that. If you're using Facebook ads, a lot of people are experiencing this right now. Facebook has been deactivating ads accounts like nobody's business. And if you're in a period of where you're doing this launch cycle and you need to advertise to get people to your webinar, whoops, too bad. But it doesn't even have to be that. What if literally you have this launch planned out and you get the flu? I don't know about you. I haven't had the flu in years. But if I get the flu, it's going to be really tough for me to show up, deliver a webinar like I should, deliver all the stuff like I should because I'm freaking sick. And you can kind of see how like this is why like an accountant would look at our revenue, our cash flow and say, whoa, we've got to change this. Now, I've talked about launching in the past about how I don't think it's the best way to serve your customers, but I'm not even talking about that right now. What I'm saying is the fact that we can't find accountants who really understand our business model generally and this really lumpy revenue where you have all your revenue events coming very short periods of time is a sign that you as the business owner probably ought to be thinking, this is probably not the best model for me. Forget my customers. Again, I never want you to forget your customers, but I know sometimes we can all act out of self-interest. And so I think looking at this and recognizing what the accounting world says about the way we are taught to do business and this conventional wisdom has some insight. Now, and again, I don't want to say that like you could never have a launch as a part of your revenue model. I do things where I do promotions and sometimes it's like I do an affiliate thing or something else. But here's the key. My business model is very different. We have people come to my website day in and day out and buy legal templates from me. They will come to my website the first time they get on my list or enter my world, etc. They buy $1,000 package of legal templates. And so I have that. The legal template just sales without funnels, without launches, without anything is effectively covering all of our costs internally. So this other stuff I'm doing I have no pressure. Like, I go into a launch when I do an affiliate launch and I can just have fun. If it doesn't feel right, I can just pull back. Because effectively, that's just like gravy. It's the not even the icing on the cake. It's like the sprinkles on top of the icing on the cake. Imagine how much easier life would be if that's what your business looked like. And again, I think about these things a lot because I know that candidly, like, I say things like, hey, I get up every day and I love being in my business and I feel like I'm playing with friends. And I recognize, and here's where I think in a lot of ways I'm different than a lot of the other folks who are teaching online marketing. I recognize that a lot of that has to do with a lot of different factors. It has to do with the fact that I've got this revenue model that actually takes the pressure off of me. So that's part of the good news. It also has to do with the fact that I'm living within my strengths. I'm building a business around what I should be doing. I'm building a business I love. But I and we can go into all kinds of details, but at the end of the day, I really do think that having a business of your dreams, having a business that you really love, kind of comes down to two things. Number one, it's a business you actually enjoy. It's a business you love. And by that, I mean, you're serving the people you want to do. You're doing the kind of work you want to do. The kind of offers you have are the kind of things that mesh with you. So like all of that stuff where it's generally fun and not a slog to run the business. And then number two, you're making revenue consistently so you don't have like a ton of stress and pressure and all of that coming from like a stress to make money. Because what I'll tell you is, and this I believe, when you bring negative energy in, when you are in a place where you need to make money to succeed, where you need something and you're coming from that neediness, that doesn't work. People can feel it. And again, it's happens if you're launching, but also just in your business generally. When you're not in that place, when you are not coming from that place, it's and again, it's one of these mind warps. It's so much easier and people are more likely to buy from you. So again, is it fair? No, it's not. It's another one of these, like, there are so many of these like inception moments in entrepreneurship that I talk about, like, being a radical giver is one of the best things you can do for your business, but you can't do it because you want them to give you money. So you have to like get out of that mindset. But when you do, it returns in spades. But this is another one. The people who don't need the money, the people who have gotten across the thing are the ones who it's easiest for them to make money. And again, I'm sorry that I have to tell you that. I shouldn't say I'm sorry. Sorry, not sorry is a better way to put it. I'm not going to hide that from you. I'm not going to pretend that being successful isn't part of what helps me continue to be successful. It's the fact. Everything I know from building a business, from watching all these other entrepreneurs, ones that I coach, but also my friends, my peers, and people that I've gone through programs with who are like starting out with me, one of the things I've seen is we talk about the hockey stick moment. We talk about that, how it's this plotting, difficult, hard battle. And then all of a sudden, zing, it goes up. And there is a turning point, and it's part of these things. But what I know is that if you are coming from a place of needing a launch to work or needing a promotion to work to like cover expenses, the chances of you actually succeeding in that launch, in that promotion, whatever it is, are pretty darn low. And it's this thing that we all need to deal with and we all need to accept. And so that's why I'm saying, if you want a real business, if you want to have a business that you're actually building, and it's not a hobby, it's not a product, it's not that, but an actual freaking business, one of the things I steadfastly believe is that you should be making enough sales every single month to cover your expenses for that month. And I'm not talking about recurring revenue from a launch. I'm talking about new sales that month cover your expenses. The reason why that is because that is what gets you to the point that you never have that need. You never have that, oh crap, I've got to go do something to make a lot of money. And it's a thing that, again, if you look at successful businesses outside of our context, that's what they're doing. Now, again, I'm not going to say that you're not going to have a month here and there where you're in the red. You will. I mean, like right now for my event, I don't know if we're actually in the red on any given month. I haven't looked, but we probably are, because I'm spending a lot of money like this month and last month on things for my event coming up next month in December. But it's money that was banked months ago, right? So I had a very good, money in the past, which then was kind of banked and put aside and reserved to pay for these expenses I knew that I had coming. But the concept I want you to get is that we need to get out of this thing that makes accountants look at a typical online business's books and say, what the heck are you doing? We need to stop having lose money, lose money, lose money, lose money, make money, lose money, lose money, lose money, lose money, make money kind of months. That's just not the way to succeed. So instead of saying, why don't accountants get our business? My suggestion to you and my call to action to you today is, why don't you try to build a business that accountants will actually understand? Accountants and accounting and all of these concepts have been around for a while. They probably know a thing or two about what makes sense and what doesn't make sense. And so it's probably a good sign to say, hey, or a bad sign if they can't get what we're doing. So again, I'm going to stop. I'm going to get off my soapbox on this. You've heard me talk about it. But again, I'm simply going to tell you, I don't believe in the traditional model that most of us are being taught and are hearing about in the online business of basically most of our revenue coming from a few different revenue events in the year. I think that is way too dangerous. Forget the question of whether it's the best way to serve and the best way to build a business for the long term and serving customers. I'm simply going to say that from your personal, selfish perspective, which, okay, I want to be clear on this. As business owners, we have to sometimes be selfish. And I don't mean selfish in a bad way. What I mean is we have to say, what is the best thing for our business? We have to ask that question. And I'm simply going to say to you that the best thing for your business is to get out of the boom and bust cycle. Because the problem with the boom and bust cycle is if one of those booms doesn't come about, you're screwed. Like if one launch, like if you're pinning all your hopes on a launch and that launch fails, you are screwed. With me, if I have a bad month, it's not a huge deal because, I have months every time. So call to action again. Let's try to build businesses, not products. And that means our goal should be that every single month we make more money in sales, like actual sales that month, than we spend. When you get there, that's when you've kind of hit, you've hit your stride. So that's it. If you want to learn more about how to kind of go about building this kind of business, the process involved, this really is what we're talking about at my event, Badass Online Marketing Live. We're going to talk about, kind of marketing the right way, but also building the right business, building the right mix of products, thinking through all of those things. That's what we're talking about, because my goal, my mission is to help entrepreneurs build a business that will help them be here 5 years from now. And I want to be clear. Some people hear me talk about these things and think that I'm talking about, I'm going to help you make millions of dollars. I know a lot of my people don't care about that. A lot of my people are just saying, hey, I would love to have a business that I actually enjoy running, that I make a good living at. And if that's your goal, great. But no matter what, we've got to get you to the point where you're actually building something and building something for the long term. And so that's what we're talking about at Badass Online Marketing Live. If you haven't grabbed your ticket and you want to get more info, head over to bobbyklink.com/bomb live. That's BOM live. bobbyklink.com/bomb live. You can get all the details there. But that's it. Enjoy your weekend, and I'll see you again next week. That's it for this episode of the Certified Badass Online Marketing Podcast. Make sure to tune in next time. And in the meantime, go out and build the badass business of your dreams.